Chapter 2415 Sacred Mountains. Terrifying Strength. Lu Ming, we're going to the Holy Mountain. Follow me, Mo Tianluo said, then turned around and flew in a direction. Lu Ming did not say anything and followed him. As for Jiai, he kept quiet and followed not far from Lu Ming. As long as Lu Ming's life was not in danger, he would not take action. Let's go, I'll go and take a look too. Just in time, I want to go too. The surrounding alien races were all very curious. They wanted to see what kind of storm Lu Ming would stir up when he arrived at the Holy Mountain. After all, some of the top experts on the longevity roll were in the Holy Mountain. Lu Ming would definitely have to fight with those existences on the Holy Mountain. They did not believe that Lu Ming could keep winning. Immediately, the large group of people followed behind Lu Ming and flew forward. Soon, they flew out of the capital and headed west. The Holy City was to the west of the Imperial City, and was also the center of the entire evil god world. Mo Tianluo led the way at a steady pace. Lu Ming was not in a hurry either. In the end, he took out a puppet and sat on it. He let the puppet travel, while he focused on comprehending the various laws. He wanted to achieve perfection in all the laws as soon as possible, and enter the Great Emperor realm. Mo Ping and Feng Feng turned into two streams of light, and flew to the west, disappearing from everyone's sight. It was likely that they had arrived at the Holy Mountain in advance, to make preparations. Just like that, after flying for a month, they arrived at a plain. The demonic sky net slowed down even more when they arrived. Lu Ming noticed that all the members of the alien race had a solemn look on their faces. There was also respect and reverence, or even a kind of piety. After flying for a while, a huge mountain appeared in front of them. It was a huge mountain, and it truly reflected the meaning of the word huge. It was an incomparably towering and massive mountain. There was no vegetation on this mountain, but even from far away, one could feel the magnificence of this mountain. The mountain was so high that it reached into the depths of the sky. As they slowly got closer, they realized that the area it occupied was even larger. Lu Ming had never seen such a huge mountain peak. When he got closer, Lu Ming realized that there were a shocking number of alien races at the foot of the mountain. At a glance, countless non-humans were sitting cross-legged on the Holy Mountain, as if they were cultivating. There was a wide mountain road that led from the foot of the Holy Mountain to the top. On the mountain paths were numerous outsiders who were slowly making their way up. When they reached a certain height, they would land on some rocks, or find a random spot to sit down cross-legged and cultivate. The entire Holy Mountain was filled with people. The number of non-humans was shocking. Lu Ming took a casual glance, and discovered millions of alien races. This was only a corner of the Holy Mountain. There were countless alien races on the Holy Mountain. The most shocking thing was that these foreign kinds were all experts. The worst was at the Saint Realm. The Martial Emperor realm was above that. Lu Ming saw at least 100,000 martial emperors, and more than 10,000 true emperors among the 1 million alien races. There were so many experts in a corner. How many experts were there in the entire Holy Mountain? Terrifying. It was truly terrifying. Lu Ming's expression changed, and he became extremely solemn. Seeing that Lu Ming's expression had changed, Mo Tianluo looked pleased. He flew over and said, "Lu Ming, let me tell you. The Holy Mountain is the residence of our race's holy ancestor. He lives at the highest point. Your race's divine ancestor is in this Holy Mountain." Lu Ming could not help asking. Of course. The divine ancestor of our tribe lives at the peak of the Holy Mountain, so the entire Holy Mountain is the best holy land for cultivation for our tribe. When we cultivate on the Holy Mountain, we will be influenced by the aura of the divine ancestor. Over time, not only can you improve your cultivation, but you can also purify your bloodline, making yourself closer to the divine ancestor, and making your bloodline purer. Mo Tianluo said proudly. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. So that was the case. No wonder there were so many powerful people gathered on the Holy Mountain. The divine ancestor of the non-human race was an unimaginable existence. He was probably an existence that surpassed the celestial emperor. In that case, what was the relationship between the sacred ancestor Bloodheart and the non-human sacred ancestor? Lu Ming had more doubts in his heart. Let me tell you, There are many caves on the holy mountain. Many people in my tribe have turned into ascetics and have been cultivating in those caves for countless years. I don't know how many of them there are. Also, the higher you go, the higher your cultivation level will be. Near the top of the mountain, there are a large number of celestial emperors cultivating. The number is beyond your imagination. Now you know the strength of our tribe. Only a small part of our tribe is attacking the Tai Ching heavenly region. If we send out a large army, the Tai Ching heavenly region will be turned into dust in an instant, Emotianluo said proudly. Lu Ming was indeed very shocked. The number of non-human experts on this Saint Mountain was indeed terrifying. It was beyond his expectations. From a distance, one could sense the terrifying auras on the entire sacred mountain. Although these auras were very obscure, Lu Ming had cultivated 81 types of laws, and it was as if he was about to merge with the heaven and earth. His perception was also astonishingly strong, so he could sense them clearly. Those auras and waves of shocking pressure were all heavenly emperor-level existences. The number of them made Lu Ming apprehensive. The entire holy mountain was like a terrifying weapon of a martial emperor. It gave off a terrifying pressure. It was as if he would be crushed into dust at any moment. Emotianluo was right. The forces that the foreign races had gathered outside the two-world city could not compare to this holy mountain. If all the powerful beings on this mountain moved together, the Tai Ching heavenly region would be turned into dust in an instant. That's impossible. It can't be. If that's the case, the alien races would have already broken through the two-world city and the Tai Ching heavenly region. They wouldn't have waited until now. Maybe there's a hidden power in the heaven realm that I haven't seen yet. Also, there might be other reasons. If it could be destroyed, the heaven realm would have been destroyed by the alien races long ago. Lu Ming's mind whirred, and he instantly thought of many things. He told himself to relax, and his mood finally improved. Emotianluo sneered and walked toward the holy mountain. When they were close to the holy mountain, a few beams of light flew out of the holy mountain. Two of them were Storm and Mo Ping. Other than them, there were three other young men. Of course, even though he looked young, he was definitely not young. It's the three people on the longevity roll. They're 65th, 59th, and 43rd. Someone on the side recognized the three people. As expected, most of the top experts on the longevity roll are on the holy mountain. Three of them came all at once. It's enough to take care of Lu Ming and let him know the power of our race. Not bad. Seeing the three young men, many of the demonic humans were excited. They had been following him for a long time, just to see Lu Ming being beaten up. He's the human who defeated you. One of the young men stepped forward and looked at Lu Ming coldly. His eyes were extremely sharp. He doesn't look like much. I can easily defeat him. Another young man spoke, his voice filled with confidence. Chapter 24:16 No one else? These three people were ranked 65th, 59th, and 43rd on the longevity roll, respectively. They could be said to be extremely powerful, far above Storm and Mo Ping. He was definitely a 3-star Great Emperor or higher, or even a 4-star Great Emperor. Of course, they had been cultivating for a long time. At least, they had been cultivating for a few thousand years, much longer than Lu Ming. The three of them were very confident. They stepped forward and surrounded Lu Ming. The people around them retreated, giving them enough distance to fight. You guys, let's attack together. 11 Lu Ming's eyes swept across the three of them as his indifferent voice rang out. What? Everyone was stunned. Lu Ming wanted to fight 1 against 3. He wanted to challenge 3 people alone. How arrogant. What an arrogant human brat. This is the first time I've seen such an arrogant human. One of the 3 young men licked his lips, his eyes cold. He wants to challenge all 3 of us at the same time. Who does he think he is? What do you mean? Of course I'll agree to it. I'll beat him up until he can't take care of himself. The 3 longevity roll experts sneered, their eyes growing more and more sinister. Since Lu Ming was asking for it, they naturally had to fulfill his wish. The 3 young men moved and surrounded Lu Ming. Almost at the same time they made their moves. 3 different attacks were launched at Lu Ming with shocking power. The moment the 3 of them attacked, Lu Ming could tell their abilities. 2 4-star Great Emperors, and 1 peak 3-star Great Emperor. Under normal circumstances, such a lineup would not have any problems dealing with someone who had cultivated for less than 200 years. However, they had encountered Lu Ming, and that was a problem. Buzz! Lu Ming's muscles trembled, and his body shot out like a cannonball towards one of the people. Buzz! Lu Ming reached out with his large hand, and the other party's attack was immediately destroyed. Then his claw did not stop. In an instant, he grabbed the other party's throat. Hurry up! It was too fast. Lu Ming's palm was unbelievably fast. Before the other party could react, Lu Ming had already grabbed his neck. Then with a powerful swing, the other party was like a meteorite, crashing towards the ground. Boom! The ground trembled, and the other party screamed in pain. Who knew how many bones in his body were broken, and he was truly unable to take care of himself. However, the ground here was extremely firm, and only a shallow pit was formed when the other party crashed into the ground. At this moment, the other two people's attacks were about to land on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he dodged their attacks. Then he attacked one of them. The man was slightly surprised, but he did not panic. The one that Lu Ming had easily defeated was the weakest among the three of them. He was only a 3-star Great Emperor, while he was a 4-star Great Emperor. A 4-star Great Emperor had already reached the high-level Great Emperor realm, and his battle prowess was far beyond that of a 3-star Great Emperor. Meteor Fist! He bellowed in rage, and his fist shot towards Lu Ming like a shooting star at an astonishing speed. Boom! At the same time, Lu Ming threw a punch as well. The two fists collided heavily. Kacha! When the two fists collided, the youth's arm was bent, and the bones in his arm were broken. The scales on his skin flew everywhere, and his body trembled as he retreated. His eyes were filled with deep fear. He felt that Lu Ming's strength was too strong. It was as if he could move mountains and tread the sea. It was difficult to resist. Not good. Then, he was shocked and retreated quickly because Lu Ming had arrived again. However, how could his speed be compared to Lu Ming's? As he retreated, Lu Ming had already arrived. Suppression. It was a complete suppression. Although the foreign youth tried his best to resist, he only managed to block 2 moves before he followed in the footsteps of the previous person. Lu Ming grabbed his throat and threw him to the ground, lying on the ground, unable to move. It took time to describe, but all of this happened in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the 2 longevity roll experts were crushed by Lu Ming. The remaining person was almost scared to death. He had been able to deal with the 3-star Great Emperor, but now, even a 4-star Great Emperor had been crushed. He was panicking. He retreated decisively, like a stream of light. You want to leave? Lu Ming laughed coldly. His muscles trembled, and the space exploded. Lu Ming charged towards the other party, and closed in on him in an instant. The other party tried his best to resist, but the result was already set in stone. After 2 moves, he crashed into the ground like a meteorite, unable to move. This. The eyes of the surrounding non-humans almost popped out of their sockets. Looking at the 3 longevity roll experts lying on the ground, they felt as if they were dreaming. Those were 3 experts on the longevity roll, and their rankings were not low either. However, they could not even withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. In just a few moves, the 3 of them were lying on the ground like dead dogs. Terrifying. They finally knew how terrifying Lu Ming's abilities were. Previously, he had not used his full strength at all. Perhaps, he had not used his full strength yet. How powerful was Lu Ming now? Mo Tian Luo, Mo Ping's storm, and the others all turned pale. Lu Ming's ability was beyond their imagination. The commotion here had also alarmed some of the experts on the Holy Mountain. Quite a few people flew over. There were more and more people here. When the people behind found out about the situation, they were all shocked. With this kind of strength, could it be that your so-called longevity roll doesn't have any stronger experts? Lu Ming spoke, his voice filled with faint contempt. All the alien races didn't look good. In the vast evil god world, there were countless experts. But now, a human youth was mocking them for not having any experts at the edge of the Holy Mountain. This was really embarrassing. This kid is looking for death. Let me slap him to death. An extremely powerful expert from the Holy Mountain said ferociously. However, Jia Yi released a terrifying aura and scared that person away. The kings have given the order that this person cannot die. The rest doesn't matter. Jia Yi's voice rang out, causing many people to stop. They naturally understood what the kings meant. The kings referred to the kings of the 10 royal families. What was Lu Ming's background? He actually made the king's order that he could not die. This made all the alien races even more curious. Is there no one else to fight? What a disappointment. Lu Ming's next words made many of the alien races sulk. They really felt that Lu Ming deserved a beating. Many powerful beings really wanted to go out and beat Lu Ming up. This guy is very strong. In my opinion, unless it's an expert ranked in the top 20 on the longevity roll, no one below the 20th rank is his match. Good. Well, spread the news on the Holy Mountain. The top 20 of the longevity roll will definitely rush over when they hear it. Not bad. Many people discussed, and then flew toward the Holy Mountain. Lu Ming, if you have the guts, just wait here. There will be experts coming to fight you. Mo Tianluo stared at Lu Ming and said, "As you wish." Lu Ming smiled, and then closed his eyes to rest in the air. Chapter 2417 Strange Attack 1 News about Lu Ming spread rapidly in the Holy Mountain. A human youth actually received an order from the kings to not die. Interesting. And his battle prowess is astonishing. Let's go and take a look. Such discussions could be heard everywhere on the Holy Mountain. Then, one figure after another flew out of the Holy Mountain and approached Lu Ming and the others. There were even heavenly emperor powerhouses who had arrived. Labo, it's Labo. Suddenly someone shouted. Everyone saw a young man coming from the Holy Mountain and standing in the air. This person was a member of the non-human royal family. He had purple hair, but his appearance was ordinary. He was thin, and his face was cold. His eyes were pale gold, and a cold light flowed between his eyes. After he arrived, he swept his gaze across Lu Ming and revealed a strong desire to fight. Labo is ranked 19th on the longevity roll. He's only been cultivating for 3,700 years, and he's definitely a rare genius. That's right, with Labo's help, that brat will definitely lose. Look, Kiju is here too. As everyone was discussing, an even stronger cry of surprise suddenly erupted. A young man appeared in the sky. This young man was also a member of the non-human royal family, but he was different from Labu. He was very handsome and had jade-like skin. He was even more beautiful than a woman. Upon seeing this young man, Labu's pale golden eyes flashed with solemnity and fear. Kiju was ranked 9th on the longevity roll, 10 places higher than Labu. He was much stronger. Even Kuei-ju, one of the top 10 on the longevity roll, is here. Let's see how arrogant that human brat can be this time. That's right. This time, I'll be the one to be beaten into a dead dog. I'm really looking forward to it. Everyone was looking forward to the next battle. As for Lu Ming, he was indifferent to all these. He had a leisurely look on his face as he closed his eyes to rest. Following that, more and more experts came. There were dozens of longevity roll experts present. 7 or 8 of the top 20 had come, and even a few of the top 10 had come. Lu Ming, you're still pretending to be calm. Now that the expert is here, do you dare to fight? Mo Tianluo shouted. Among the people present, no one looked forward to Lu Ming being abused more than him. He could not wait to see Lu Ming being abused. Are all of you here? I'm afraid it's another bunch of weaklings. Why don't we wait a little longer? Lu Ming opened his eyes and said casually. The experts on the longevity roll almost vomited blood from anger. All of them were filled with fighting spirit, and their eyes were burning with anger. You're boasting shamelessly. Don't think that you're invincible just because you've defeated a few people. Oh, come and fight you. With a roar, a burly alien rushed toward Lu Ming. Everyone immediately recognized that this person was an expert ranked 32nd on the longevity roll. His battle prowess was extremely profound. Boom! Lu Ming also rushed out and threw a punch. Lu Ming's punch exploded with a shocking amount of power, directly crushing the other party's attack. The other party spat out a large mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Like I said, I can't even withstand a single blow, Lu Ming said in disdain. He didn't want to dawdle any longer. He immediately displayed his powerful strength, so that the weaker ones didn't dare to go up. The eyes of the longevity roll experts narrowed. Lu Ming was indeed capable. "I'll fight you." A voice rang out, and then a thin figure stepped out. Everyone recognized him as the 19th-ranked Labu on the longevity roll. Finally, the top 20 experts of the longevity roll were about to make their move. Everyone was filled with anticipation. "Make your move," Lu Ming said calmly. Buzz. Before Lu Ming could finish his sentence, Labu moved at an astonishing speed and charged toward Lu Ming. With every step he took, the void trembled and his speed increased. When he neared Lu Ming, his speed had reached its maximum. Whoosh! His palm was like a knife as he slashed at Lu Ming with shocking power. However, the most shocking thing was yet to come. Just as his palm was about to reach Lu Ming, his palm suddenly changed. His palm was like mercury. It suddenly elongated and wriggled, turning into a saber. It slashed at Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. What is this technique? Lu Ming's eyes flickered and his muscles trembled. He retreated rapidly and dodged the other party's saber. However, as soon as Lu Ming retreated, the other party's palm changed again. It wriggled rapidly and turned into a soft whip. The soft whip had spikes on it as it whipped toward Lu Ming. "It can even be like this." Lu Ming was extremely surprised and he struck out with his palm. Thump! When his palm hit the soft whip, it was as if he had hit a mountain, causing a violent vibration. 5-star Great Emperor. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The other party's cultivation was equivalent to a 5-star Great Emperor. However, he was definitely a genius among geniuses, considering that he had cultivated to this level in just a few thousand years. His combat strength was extremely shocking, and he couldn't be compared to ordinary 5-star Great Emperors. Lu Ming was not his opponent's match with his physical strength alone. After the collision, Lu Ming was forced to retreat. Lu Ming is no match for them. Ha ha ha, I knew that Labu would definitely win. Come on, let's beat that brat up. A human dares to be arrogant in our realm. The surrounding non-humans were very excited. Mot Luo, Storm, and the others also looked excited. After forcing Lu Ming back with one attack, Labu's other hand also struck at Lu Ming. His other hand turned into a weapon as well. It was a combat sword, and he slashed it at Lu Ming. Looks like you'll need to use the combination of laws, Lu Ming muttered. Then, rays of light appeared on his body. More than 10 rays of light covered Lu Ming's body, like a colorful armor. Lu Ming cast a modified version of the Chaos Divine Palm, and struck the Labu with both palms. Bang! 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 The two of them collided continuously, causing loud rumbles. Labu's attack style was very strange. His hands seemed to be really made of mercury, and they could change into all kinds of weapons at will. The key was that they were extremely powerful and could change into many things, making it impossible to guard against. However, Lu Ming's explosive world force and the augmentation of more than 10 types of laws caused his combat strength to skyrocket, and he was faintly suppressing his opponent. The reason why Lu Ming did not unleash his full power to defeat his opponent was that he felt that the alien races had strange and mysterious means. He wanted to see more of them. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of moves. Lu Ming seemed to have the upper hand. The surrounding non-humans didn't say anything, and their faces were filled with depression. Labu was actually at a disadvantage. Those people who had thought that Labu would definitely win felt that they had lost face. At this moment, Labu also started to feel anxious. Suddenly he changed his attack. He actually charged toward Lu Ming head-on, and adopted a desperate fighting style. However, to Lu Ming's surprise, just as he charged forward, his head and his hands transformed rapidly and sharp spikes grew out. His head had become like a giant hammer. Chapter 2418 Agreement of 3 Moves Thump. Lu Ming's palm struck Labu's head. It was as if he had struck a giant hammer. A powerful force surged toward Lu Ming. Then, as if there was no bone spine, Labu's waist bent into a terrifying arc. His legs were like 2 knives slashing toward Lu Ming. The angle was extremely strange and tricky. An ordinary person might not be able to avoid it if they were not careful. Lu Ming cast the 6-feathered divine wings. Coupled with the vibration of his muscles, his speed was extremely fast. In a flash, he dodged the opponent's attack. His entire body can be turned into a weapon. Interesting. However, it's time for this battle to end, Lu Ming muttered. There were a few more lights on his body. Reincarnation cutting, Lu Ming shouted in a low voice. His palms seemed to be pushing the water and dancing in the air. A huge vortex appeared in the void. This was a divine power that Lu Ming had created. Over the years, Lu Ming had mastered 10 ultimate maxims and 71 king path maxims. With so many maxims intertwining with each other, they could produce countless divine powers. Over the years, Lu Ming had made many attempts and developed some strange divine abilities. However, each of these divine powers had different characteristics, and the number of laws they contained was different. Some contained more than 10 types, some 20 types, some 30 types. The more laws it contained, the more powerful it would naturally be. However, he didn't manage to research a divine power that contained 81 laws. It was too difficult and required a long time to study. This reincarnation cutting technique was a sacred art that contained more than a dozen laws. One of them was the reincarnation law, and the other two were the 2 strongest laws and 12 king path laws. A huge vortex spun madly, containing a terrifying cutting power, and covered the Labu in an instant. Labu used all his strength to resist, and his body turned into all kinds of weapons charging forward. However, at this moment, Lu Ming rushed over and attacked continuously. Finally, Labu could not withstand Lu Ming's continuous palm strikes. His body trembled violently, and he was sent flying thousands of miles away. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. Labu was defeated. Many people looked at each other. This human brat was way too strong. Most importantly, they had heard that Lu Ming had only cultivated for less than 200 years. How was it possible that he was so powerful in less than 200 years? In the depths of the sky, some people were also watching. If others were to see this, they would definitely be shocked. This was because any one of them could shake the evil god world. This was because these people were the kings that others spoke of. The evil god race was the king of the 10 great king races. However, not all of them came, but there were still 5 of them. Each of these 5 was a peak expert in this world, and were extremely terrifying. Lu Ming arrived at the holy mountain. These terrifying experts were very curious, and came over to take a look. After all, Lu Ming had the bloodline of the sacred ancestor Bloodheart. This brat is actually strong to this extent. It's really beyond expectations. This kind of genius has a higher ambition than the sky. It's difficult to make him feel despair. Indeed, such people are all blessed with great fortune. They are all very confident. No matter what kind of predicament they face, they believe that they can get out of it. The kings of the non-human race discussed. They knew very well what kind of person Lu Ming was, because they themselves were such people. Otherwise, how could they stand at the peak of the world? There's no other way. He's already come this far, so he can only keep going. There'll always be someone on the longevity roll who can suppress him. An elderly non-human king said. Not bad. The non-human kings all nodded. They seemed to be very confident in one of the longevity roll's members. Below. You're quite capable, but it's a pity that you're still not good enough. Next, Lu Ming cast a glance at Labu and said indifferently. At the scene, a few young men looked at each other. They were all experts ranked between 10th and 20th on the longevity roll. But they weren't confident in winning if they were asked to fight. Although they were stronger than Labu, they were not that much stronger. They were afraid that if Lu Ming had held back just now, they would most likely be defeated. Therefore, they were a little hesitant. He'll do it. At this moment, Kuei-ju spoke and appeared in front of Lu Ming. This made the eyes of many people light up. Kiju was an expert ranked 9th on the longevity roll. The top 10 of the longevity roll were all freakishly powerful. With Kiju taking action, they were at ease. Your name is Lu Ming? Kiju looked at Lu Ming. Not bad. Lu Ming nodded. I've never heard of such an expert like you in the human race. Kuei-ju smiled, looking extremely handsome. If he was in the human race, he would be able to charm countless young girls. Lu Ming smiled casually and did not say much. I don't want to fight you fiercely either. That's what ordinary people do. How about we decide the winner in 3 moves? Kiju said. 3 moves. Lu Ming said. That's right. If I can't defeat you within 3 moves, it'll be my loss. However, there's a rule. You can't dodge, you can only meet force with force. How about it? Kuei Ju said with a cunning look in his eyes. All right. Lu Ming smiled, his smile very bright. This kid actually agreed. Haha, this time he's going to lose even more. He actually agreed to exchange 3 moves with Kiju. He's going to lose. The other alien races laughed wildly in their hearts. They looked relieved, thinking that Lu Ming would lose for sure. Lu Ming did not know the power of Kiju. Lu Ming naturally noticed the reactions of the people around him. However, would Lu Ming be afraid? He wanted to defeat him in 3 moves? Lu Ming was confident that no one below the Heavenly Emperor could do it. Make your move. Lu Ming's voice was heard, and the entire venue quieted down. Everyone widened their eyes and waited for the moment when Lu Ming was defeated. Boom! Kiju's body gave off a powerful aura. 6-star Great Emperor. Kiju's cultivation was already at 6-star Great Emperor, and he was currently emitting a purple light that was extremely bright. Then purple scales appeared on his skin. Royal non-human races were originally similar to humans. They no longer had scales on their bodies. However, at this moment, purple scales appeared on Kuei-ju's body once again. Countless scales covered the surface of Kiju. It's here. Kiju is about to use this move. Lu Ming is bound to lose. Mo Tianluo's eyes were filled with excitement. Lu Ming did not know, but they were very clear. The strongest part of Kiju was its explosive power. Kiju had a unique skill that consumed a lot of energy, but it was extremely powerful. Even the experts on the longevity roll didn't dare to take it head-on, and could only avoid it. However, for this kind of unique skill, the gathering could only be used for a few moves. Therefore, he made a pact with Lu Ming to use 3 moves. Moreover, he could only fight head-on. He did not expect that Lu Ming would agree to it stupidly. Was he not going to lose? Chapter 24:19. Second on the longevity roll. Whoosh. 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 Kiju finally attacked. He shouted in a low voice. At least 3/10 of the purple scales on his body flew out toward Lu Ming. These scales were like small flying daggers. They were extremely sharp and powerful, cutting the space into chaos. Buzz! Lu Ming's muscles trembled, and the strength of his physical body was activated to the extreme. At the same time, Lu Ming cast the inextinguishable golden body. Lu Ming had successfully cultivated all 18 types of laws contained in the indestructible ancient scroll. In fact, Lu Ming even tried to make changes to the indestructible ancient scroll by adding in a few laws. This made the power of the indestructible ancient scroll even stronger, and its recovery and defense abilities became even more shocking. Lu Ming did not retaliate at all, allowing the scales to cut his body. Buzz! 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 Sparks flew in all directions. When the scales cut Lu Ming's body, there was a continuous clanging sound that was extremely ear-piercing. However, none of the scales could break through Lu Ming's defense. The scales flew past, but Lu Ming was completely fine. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Many people knew how terrifying the Kiju skill was. Those scales were 100 times, 1,000 times sharper than a real flying knife. Once it erupted, it was indestructible. Even those on the longevity roll, who were ranked higher than Kuei Ju, didn't dare to take it head-on. They could only think of ways to avoid it. However, Lu Ming did not retaliate at all. He just stood there and allowed Kuei Ju to attack him. However, he could not break through Lu Ming's defense. How was this possible? What was going on? Many people were dumbfounded. Kiju himself was stunned. After a long time, everyone finally reacted. I don't believe it. Just watch me break your defense. All of you. Kiju hollered in rage and pushed with both hands. The purple light on his body was extremely bright, and all the scales on his body burst forth. The countless scales were like flying daggers. There were thousands of them. Lu Ming still did not move, allowing the thousands of scales to slash at his body. Buzz! Whoosh! Ear-piercing sounds were heard continuously. After the concentrated sounds passed, Lu Ming was still standing there perfectly fine. There was not a single wound on his body. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This kind of defensive power was too terrifying. It doesn't have any power at all. Are you playing house? Lu Ming's disdainful voice was heard and Qiji's face turned red. The attack that he was so proud of was said to be child's play by Lu Ming. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. The third move. Die. Kuei-ju roared as he waved his hands. Thousands of scales gathered together and connected to each other, forming a huge flying knife. The power of this flying knife was several times stronger than the scattered scales, and the attack power was completely concentrated. Whoosh! The flying daggers flew toward Lu Ming. This time, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with solemnity. The power of this flying knife was enough to threaten him. Lu Ming's body glowed continuously. In the end, he used more than 40 types of laws. More than 40 types of laws condensed into a long spear in Lu Ming's hands. Whoosh! Lu Ming thrust his spear. The two blades met in the air and exploded with a blinding light. The rings of light were even more dazzling than the sun. Bang! In the end, Lu Ming's body trembled slightly, and he took a few steps back. The flying knife that Qijiu condensed immediately collapsed and turned into purple scales that flew in all directions. Then they flew back into Kuei-ju's body and disappeared. Qijiu's body retreated as his blood churned, and his face turned pale. 3 moves. Lu Ming said calmly and Qijiu's face turned pale. According to the agreement, if he did not defeat Lu Ming in 3 moves, he would lose. I've lost. Qijiu sighed and retreated. In fact, even if he did not admit defeat, he was not Lu Ming's match. He had used his strongest technique, but he still could not do anything to Lu Ming. The result would be the same if he continued to fight. Qijiu lost. Many alien races had unsightly expressions. Lu Ming's combat strength was simply unfathomable. It was as if he had no foundation. Starting from Emotianluo, he had completely swept through all the battles. No matter how strong the people were, they could only fail. What do we do? Many people turned to look at the youths. These people were ranked above Kuei-ju on the longevity roll. However, at this moment, these people looked at each other with grave expressions. For a moment, no one made a move. Although Qijiu's ranking was lower than theirs, Qijiu's explosive power wasn't lower than theirs. In fact, it was even stronger. Their combined combat strength was above Kuei-ju's. However, if they were to be like Lu Ming and take 3 moves head-on from Kuei-ju, they would be the ones who would be defeated. Under such circumstances, even Qijiu was defeated. Could they defeat Lu Ming if they went up? They had no confidence at all. The other foreign races were also silent. Could it be that no one could suppress Lu Ming? Could it be that the Heavenly Emperor had to make a move? However, a celestial Varch who had cultivated for God knows how many years would be embarrassed if he were to attack a junior like Lu Ming. Even if he won, it would be an unfair victory. I didn't expect that a human who has cultivated for less than 200 years would have such combat power. I'm itching for a fight. At this moment a chuckle was heard. Then a young figure appeared in the air. Lu Ming was slightly stunned at the sight of this person. This was because this alien race was different from the alien races that Lu Ming had seen in the past. This foreign being looked very similar to a human, but he was different from the royal family of the foreign race. He had long red hair, and the third eye between his eyebrows was red like a small sun. This was especially so for the pair of wings on his back. They were also fiery red, and there were even flames burning on them. This was the first time Lu Ming had seen such a foreign tribe. It's Prince Condor. Someone exclaimed in surprise. A prince? It seems that this Kong duo is also a royal member of a foreign tribe. It seems that there is more than one appearance of a foreign royal member. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Prince Condor actually came. Prince Condor is ranked 2nd on the longevity roll. He's about to make a move. I haven't seen Prince Condor in action for many years, at least hundreds of years. This is a good time. Many people were discussing in surprise. With a gentle smile on his face, Kong Duo nodded to the crowd. Then, he flapped his wings and flew toward Lu Ming. To be honest, I've never seen someone as powerful as you in less than 200 years of cultivation. Even if that fellow were to reach your level of combat strength, he would have spent more time than you. Kong Duo smiled. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Who was the guy that Kong Duo was talking about? Kando, go all out, you must defeat him. At this moment, a voice sounded in Kong Duo's ears. Father! Kong Duo was shocked. Chapter 2421 Furnace of Incineration. Kong Duo was shocked. He didn't expect his father to be near the holy mountain, and to be paying attention to this matter. His father had even ordered him to defeat Lu Ming. Who was his father? He was the king of one of the 10 great royal families. How could he pay attention to this place and Lu Ming? This kid, what's his background? Kong Duo was extremely confused, but a determined look flashed in his eyes. He had to defeat Lu Ming. Kong Duo nodded silently and looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, make your move. All three of Condor's eyes glowed with a fiery red light. At the same time, his body was also covered in flames. With a flap of its wings, buzz! Kong Duo dashed towards Lu Ming like a fiery red bolt of lightning. In the process, a combat sword appeared in his hand. It was crystal clear like fire jade, and he slashed it at Lu Ming. Peak Emperor! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed the moment Kong Duo made his move. Kong Duo was a peak emperor, and he wasn't an ordinary peak emperor. He was a genius, and his battle strength was stronger than ordinary peak emperors. Compared to the human race, he was equivalent to a peak great emperor who had mastered the strongest great Tao, or even stronger. There was no need to doubt the strength of such a person. He was almost invincible under the heavenly emperor realm. Open it, Lu Ming muttered. All the energy in his body erupted. On his body, rays of light flashed continuously. It was a series of laws, and in total, 81 laws had erupted. In an instant, Lu Ming's strength exploded to the maximum. If it was before he came to the alien race, when Lu Ming was still in control of more than a dozen laws, he would not have been a match for a peak emperor with his own strength. Just like when he was on the Void God Island, he had to rely on his heavenly emperor corporeal body to fight peak great emperors. However, things were different now. Although his physical body hadn't improved, he had mastered 81 laws. His combat power had increased greatly, and he was confident that he could fight a peak great emperor. The 81 types of laws finally transformed into a chaotic colored battle suit that covered Lu Ming's body. At the same time, the Great Desolation Spear appeared in Lu Ming's palm. Buzz! Lu Ming's spear swept out, and the space exploded. The Great Desolation Spear emitted a terrifying vibration and collided with Kong Duo's combat sword. Boom! It was as if two stars had crashed into each other, creating a terrifying boom and a scorching light. Immediately after, their bodies trembled and they retreated. What a terrifying power! The power of the flames has even surpassed the laws and the great Taos. It can burn everything. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. The other party's flame power had a shockingly high temperature. Even though he had a battle suit condensed from 81 kinds of laws, it was almost destroyed. However, he didn't know that Kong Duo was also shocked. In the entire evil god world, there were only a handful of people below the Celestial Emperor who could compete with him. However, Lu Ming's cultivation was clearly not at the peak Great Emperor realm yet, but he was able to block his attack. The thoughts of the two of them turned quickly, but their figures did not stop at all. After retreating, the two of them stepped on the void and rushed towards each other again. Boom! 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 The two of them engaged in an intense battle. The space was smashed by the two of them, and no one stayed within hundreds of thousands of miles. This battle was too terrifying. Other than the Celestial Arch, if anyone else was sucked into it, they would only be left with death. The two of them fought in the dark void at times, and at other times they fought in the sky. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged hundreds of moves, and it was difficult to determine the winner. How terrifying! All the alien races were shocked. It was amazing that Lu Ming could actually fight with Kong Duo to this extent. Motian Luo in particular was extremely shocked. Among all of them, he felt it the most because he had fought with Lu Ming in the past. However, if Lu Ming were to exert his full strength, he could crush him with one finger. In the depths of the sky, the few non-human kings were also silent and looked on without blinking. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than 200 moves. Satisfying. Lu Ming let out a long howl. His eyes were filled with the bright fighting spirit and his muscles were trembling with excitement. It had been more than 100 years since he had fought to his heart's content. Deep down in his bones, he loved to fight and kill. He could only improve faster in battle. In the battle against Condor, he was able to use all of his strength to the extreme and display it to his heart's content. Reincarnation cutting, death's abyss. Chaos crush, space-time cage. Karmic cycle, heavenly wheel of fate. As Lu Ming's figure flashed, he cast all kinds of terrifying divine abilities. These divine abilities were created by Lu Ming after combining various laws over the years. They were extremely powerful. Each divine ability had a different effect, but when used together, it had endless uses. The more they fought, the stronger Lu Ming became. He became more and more skilled in the use of various divine powers, and slowly gained the upper hand. Kong Duo started to be suppressed and retreated. Is this all you've got? This is truly disappointing. Lu Ming's voice was heard, causing Kong Duo's expression to turn ugly. Since you're looking for death, I'll fulfill your wish, incinerating furnace. Kong Duo roared. His third eye suddenly burst out with a blazing light. Hoo. His third eye turned into a fiery red vortex, spinning rapidly. A terrifyingly hot temperature permeated the air. In addition, there was a terrifying suction force that wanted to suck Lu Ming in. Buzz! Lu Ming's muscles trembled rapidly. At the same time, he used the 6 feathered divine wings in an attempt to escape from the suction force. The suction force was shockingly strong. Lu Ming found it difficult to escape. Come in! Kong Duo bellowed. His body was covered in scorching flames as he charged at Lu Ming at an equally fast speed. The closer he got to Lu Ming, the stronger the attraction in his third eye. Through the eye, Lu Ming could even see a fire furnace with burning flames inside. Get in! Kong Duo roared. Let's see if you have the ability to do so, Lu Ming said coldly. He shook the long spear and exploded the void, tearing the suction force apart. Then he retreated quickly and avoided Kong Duo. However, Condor's speed was also astonishingly fast. He chased after Lu Ming at an extreme speed, making it difficult for Lu Ming to escape. Condor's body even started to melt, turning into rays of light and flying into his third eye. In the end, Condor's body completely disappeared and flew into his third eye. Then, a fire furnace appeared in the air. Buzz! The fire furnace trembled and expanded rapidly. In the end, it was bigger than hundreds of mountains. It pressed down on Lu Ming and sealed the void. An even more terrifying suction force acted on Lu Ming, causing his body to stiffen. Buzz! The furnace pressed down and devoured Lu Ming directly into the furnace, causing him to disappear. Chapter 24-21. The first Prince Kong Duo's body turned into a huge furnace and swallowed Lu Ming. Seeing that Lu Ming was swallowed into the furnace, many of the alien tribe leaders heaved a sigh of relief. That kid is finished. The burning furnace is the most powerful technique of the Kando bloodline. It is inherited from the bloodline. Once swallowed, the only thing you can do is burn to ashes. Look at how arrogant that kid is. He's dead for sure. Those alien races were discussing with great joy. Not far away, Jia Yi's eyes flashed. He wanted to help, but he knew that there were many kings watching from the sky. If the kings did not ask him to help, he would naturally not help. In the depths of the sky, the various kings were indeed watching. What should we do? Should we save him? He has the bloodline of the sacred ancestor Bloodheart. He can't die, a non-human king said. I think we'll see. With the bloodline of the sacred ancestor Bloodheart in him, I don't think he'll die so easily. Not bad, let's take a look. The other non-human kings nodded. They thought that it would be better to let Lu Ming beg for mercy. As soon as Lu Ming was swallowed into the incinerating furnace, he felt endless flames engulfing him and burning fiercely. The terrifying high temperature was about to burn him into ashes. Lu Ming covered his entire body with the 81 types of laws. At the same time, he circulated the indestructible ancient scroll to resist the burning power from the outside. However, the flames were indeed terrifying. Their power was too shocking. Even if there were many nomological laws intertwined together, they would still be burned. One law after another was burned through. It was not that Lu Ming's law was not powerful. It was just that compared to their current combat strength, the law was slightly inferior. One had to know that the Great Emperor realm corresponded to the Great Tao. Thus, even a profound law like the law of fate would find it difficult to display its profound effects at this time. It would also be burned through. Through the laws, a terrifying heat flow coursed through Lu Ming's entire body. His muscles were on the verge of being burned. Waves of piercing pain spread throughout Lu Ming's body. The clothes and hair on his body instantly turned to dust. Lu Ming circulated the indestructible ancient scroll to resist the attack with all his might. Now the indestructible ancient scroll's recovery ability was even more shocking. After his muscles were burned, they immediately recovered and were as white as jade. Lu Ming relied on the indestructible ancient scroll to persevere. This furnace is indeed powerful, but it can't do anything to me. I can use the flames here to temper my body. Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. In the past 100 years, there were not many good natural treasures. Lu Ming had been cultivating his physical body, and his seven gods' mysterious technique had been progressing step by step. He had also reached the limit of the middle fifth stage, but he had been stuck at a bottleneck. This time, he might be able to find an opportunity to break through. Lu Ming reduced the power of the indestructible ancient scroll slightly, and used some flames to help temper his body. Chi. Some flames spread all over Lu Ming's body. The terrifyingly high temperature seeped into Lu Ming's bones, internal organs, and even every cell, wanting to burn Lu Ming into ashes. Lu Ming circulated the seven gods' mysterious technique and began to temper his body. Just like that, 3 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Outside, countless beings of the foreign races were waiting patiently for the furnace in the sky. That kid, has he been refined? It's been 3 hours. If an ordinary master of the same level as Kong Duo was sucked into the furnace, he would be refined in less than half an hour. But Kong Duo didn't stop. That kid shouldn't have been refined yet. It's been so long. Will Kong Duo be unable to hold on? Many alien races started to discuss among themselves. They were confused. In the blink of an eye, another 2 hours had passed. It had been 5 hours since Lu Ming was sucked into the furnace. Why is the power of the flames weakening? And it was getting weaker. In the furnace, Lu Ming was puzzled. It seems that maintaining the high temperature of the furnace also requires energy. That Kondo, he can't hold on any longer. Lu Ming made a guess. However, Lu Ming was satisfied. After 5 hours of tempering, Lu Ming's body had made great progress. He felt that his physical body could break through at any time. Once he broke through to the late stage of the 5th level of the seven gods' mysterious art, he would be able to suppress peak emperors with his body alone. In addition to the power of the world and the 81 laws, Lu Ming's combat strength would skyrocket. Another half an hour passed, and the power of the flames in the furnace became weaker. It was not of much use to Lu Ming's tempering. Time to go out. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He held the Great Desolation Spear and rushed to one side. Boom! Lu Ming thrust his spear, and it hit the wall of the furnace. The furnace shook violently. Boom! 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 Lu Ming burst out with all his might and attacked continuously. The furnace shook even more violently, as if it was going to explode. Outside, all the foreign kinds were shocked. Not good. That brat isn't dead. He's attacking the furnace. How terrifying. He's still alive after so long. What kind of freak is that kid? The furnace can't hold on any longer. Many alien races were shocked. Boom! 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 The furnace shook violently. From the outside, one could see that one side of the wall of the furnace was bulging. Finally, cracks covered the wall. Boom! In the end, the entire furnace exploded, and waves of heat swept in all directions. A shrill cry reverberated in all directions, and everyone saw Kong Duo's body flying far away. His face was pale, and his breath was extremely weak. The third eye of Condor was already closed, but blood was still flowing out. The furnace was broken, and Condor was severely injured. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and stood in the void. His aura was extremely vigorous, and he was completely fine. You've lost, Lu Ming said. Ow! Kong Duo sighed and didn't say anything. He flew to the side and sat down cross-legged. his body covered in a layer of flames as he began to heal. The non-humans present looked at each other. Kando was actually defeated. If even Kong Duo was no match for Lu Ming, then who else on the longevity roll, or below the heavenly emperor realm, could be a match for Lu Ming? Could it be that the mighty evil god tribe of the vast evil god world was going to be bullied by a human brat? No. It seems like only the first prince can suppress him under the heavenly emperor realm. At this moment someone spoke. Hearing this, all the alien races present were shocked. Then their eyes lit up. That's right. We can only ask the first prince to make a move. The first prince has the purest bloodline of the divine ancestor. His talent is the best in our clan since ancient times. He can definitely suppress him. That's right. The first prince has only been cultivating for a few hundred years. Voices rang out one after another. The foreign races seemed to have great confidence in the first prince. The first prince. What a strange name. Lu Ming's heart stirred. However, for him to be respected by so many foreign races after cultivating for a few hundred years, his talent was indeed shocking. Lu Ming, the first prince of our tribe, is on the holy mountain, but he's in seclusion. I'm afraid he'll need some time. Do you dare to wait here? Someone shouted. Why wouldn't I? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Chapter 24-22. Physical body breakthrough. Alright, just you wait. I'll tell you, the first prince of my tribe is the first on the longevity roll. Someone said. Then, someone flew toward the sacred mountain, apparently to invite the first prince. As for Lu Ming, he flew to the side and sat cross-legged on a huge rock. I'm afraid that the first prince's combat strength is astonishing. He's definitely above Kong Duo. With my current strength, I'm afraid it's difficult to defeat him. However, my physical body is about to break through. I might as well take this opportunity to break through. Lu Ming made up his mind and took out a pile of Emperor's medicine. He began to practice the seven gods' mysterious technique to absorb the medicinal power of the Emperor's medicine and attempt to break through to the 5th level of the seven gods' mysterious technique. Lu Ming's physical body had been tempered by the smelting furnace previously and had almost broken through the bottleneck. He could break through at any time. At this moment Lu Ming was cultivating. His physical body seemed to be very hungry and thirsty, frantically absorbing the external energy. Hoo. Lu Ming's physical body seemed to have turned into a black hole, devouring the energy from the outside world. No, it's better to cultivate in the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming thought to himself. Lu Ming felt very uncomfortable being stared at by so many people. With a thought, the mountain and river diagram emerged. Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and entered the mountain and river diagram. A treasure from the heavenly realm. Many of the alien races murmured. They didn't seem to mind. The mountain and river diagram was there. Lu Ming could not escape at all. Especially those at the Great Emperor realm. They could completely break through the attack of the Grotto Heaven treasure and attack the people inside. Many alien races were waiting there. The first prince was in seclusion. Even if someone invited him, it was unknown how long it would take for him to come out. After Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram, he could no longer hold back. He took out a large number of Emperor's medicine, sacred medicine, and supreme-grade rough stones. Hoo. As long as Lu Ming circulated the seven gods' mysterious technique, his body would turn into a black hole and devour energy crazily. The energy of the Emperor's medicine, the sacred medicine, and the supreme-grade rough stone were all absorbed by Lu Ming's body. As soon as the energy entered Lu Ming's body, it seeped into every cell in his body to help him improve his physical strength. As the days passed, Lu Ming's physical body became stronger and stronger. Boom! Half a month later, Lu Ming's physical strength had reached its peak. Then with a loud bang, the aura that he emitted increased dramatically. At the same time, his bones and muscles were shaking crazily as he was transforming. His skin glowed with a layer of treasure light, like the light of a divine weapon. After a while, his muscles and bones stopped shaking and calmed down. At this time, Lu Ming had completely broken through and cultivated the seven gods' mysterious technique to the late stage of the 5th level. Lu Ming's strength increased explosively. He felt that he had an inexhaustible amount of strength in his body. At the same time, the strength of his muscles, defense, and vitality had also increased to an unbelievable level. Lu Ming had a feeling that he could be unrivaled among great emperors with his physical strength. Haha, good. Let the first prince of the outsiders come. Lu Ming laughed heartily. He extended his spiritual senses through the mountain and river diagram to observe the situation outside. He realized that the first prince had not arrived. Lu Ming did not mind. He continued to circulate the seven gods' mysterious technique to consolidate his realm, slowly moving towards the limit of the fifth stage late phase. Now that he had reached the late stage of the fifth level of the seven gods' mysterious skill, his next step would be to break through to the sixth level. Once he reached the sixth level of the seven gods' mysterious technique, his physical strength alone would be comparable to a celestial emperor. That would be truly terrifying. However, without a great opportunity, it would be extremely difficult to break through. The Archean body cultivator lineage had been passed down for a long time. However, there were only a handful of people who had reached the heavenly emperor realm. It was clear how difficult it was to cultivate the seven divine mysterious technique to the sixth level. Lu Ming cultivated quietly. In the blink of an eye, another half a month had passed. At this moment, there was finally some movement outside. A figure silently appeared in the sky, overlooking the mountains and rivers. All the alien races fell silent. It was a young alien, similar to a human. He was obviously a member of the royal family. However, they were different from the other royal families. He was extremely handsome, and his hair was golden. Under the sunlight it glowed. His three eyes were also golden in color. When he opened them, they were filled with supreme majesty. The first prince, the number one royal tribe of the evil god tribe, was known as the strongest prodigy of the evil god tribe since ancient times. He had cultivated for less than 300 years and had already reached the peak of the emperor level. He was said to have the bloodline closest to the divine ancestor of the non-human race, and his battle power was even more astonishing. Experts of the same level couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. I'm here to join the first prince. Countless alien races saluted Prince De. Even some of the heavenly emperors. Their eyes were full of respect. The first prince was destined to be invincible in the future. Where is he? The first prince spoke. It's in that estate world treasure. Someone pointed at the mountain and river diagram. The first prince's golden eyes looked at the mountain and river diagram. Boom! The first prince stomped his foot down. A huge foot formed and pressed down on the mountain and river diagram. He actually attacked directly, and it was abnormally overbearing. Buzz! The mountain and river diagram turned into a stream of light and flew out, avoiding the attack. Then, there was a flash of light, and Lu Ming's figure appeared. He kept the mountain and river diagram. Make your move, I don't have that much time to waste. The first prince placed his hands behind his back and cast an indifferent glance at Lu Ming. He was cold, overbearing, and filled with endless confidence. This was the first prince. He was high and mighty, like a god, looking down on the common people as if nothing could enter his eyes. Since you don't have time, then please go back. I don't have that much time to waste with you. Lu Ming also spoke coldly. The other party's attitude made him unhappy. Ignorant, the first prince said indifferently. Lu Ming's words did not make him angry, because Lu Ming was not qualified to make him angry. In his opinion, Lu Ming was just an ignorant ant. Boom! At this moment, a powerful aura emanated from the first prince. It was indeed the aura of a peak emperor, but it gave off a terrifying pressure, as if one was facing a heavenly emperor. Buzz! The first prince took a step forward. His body turned into a golden stream of light as he rushed toward Lu Ming and threw a punch. He still had one hand behind his back, as if to say that he only needed one hand to deal with Lu Ming. Buzz! Lu Ming's muscles trembled, and he threw a punch as well. Lu Ming did not use world force or laws for this punch. It was purely physical strength. Boom! The two fists collided with a heavy boom. Then a figure retreated 100 miles. It was Lu Ming. Lu Ming, the first prince, was the one who retreated. He did not move. What a terrifying power. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. In the exchange of punches just now, Lu Ming was actually completely at a disadvantage. Chapter 2423. Fighting the first prince. One had to know that he could completely suppress a peak great emperor with his physical strength. But he was no match for that punch. He could feel that the first prince's body was terrifyingly strong, far stronger than other peak emperors. Of course, the most shocking thing was the energy he cultivated. It was like the energy of the ancient cultivation system, indestructible. There are very few people below the celestial darch level who can take my punch without being injured. Your strength is not bad. No wonder you could defeat Kong Duo. The first prince spoke, but his voice was still indifferent, high and mighty, and filled with endless confidence. However, some of the heavenly emperor powerhouses around them were shocked. They were not shocked by the first prince's combat strength, but by Lu Ming. This was because Lu Ming did not cast any laws just now. Instead, he used his physical body. He had blocked the first prince's attack with his physical body alone. It was too shocking. They had seen Lu Ming's moves before. His physical strength was not that strong before this. Could it be that he had hidden his strength before? Or that he had a breakthrough this month? Many of the alien races had the same thought. First prince, be careful. A non-human heavenly emperor warned. You're underestimating me. The first prince looked at this person, his golden eyes emitting a cold light. The heavenly emperor's expression changed, and he quickly said, No, I wouldn't dare to underestimate the prince. It's fine as long as you don't. I can easily suppress a human brat. The first prince said indifferently. He looked at Lu Ming and took a step forward, charging at him again. He still had one hand behind his back, and was only using one hand. The power of this punch was stronger than before. Come on. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. There were more than a dozen different kinds of radiances emanating from his body. Boom! With the law's blessing, Lu Ming's combat strength was even stronger. He threw another punch. There was another violent explosion. This time, Lu Ming did not retreat. He successfully blocked the first prince's attack. The first prince was taken aback. He was clearly surprised that Lu Ming did not retreat after being punched. Whoosh! However, the first prince was only stunned for a moment. He did not stop. He turned his fist into a palm and slashed at Lu Ming with his palm like a knife. Lu Ming's reaction was very fast. He waved his palm to block. Bang! Bang! The two of them were as fast as lightning. In an instant, they had exchanged dozens of moves and then retreated. This is your strength. It's not much. Lu Ming chuckled. The first prince's golden eyes turned cold. Lu Ming's ability had indeed exceeded his expectations. In the past, unless one's cultivation base was higher than his, he would usually single-handedly take care of a battle between two people of the same level. Even Kong Duo, who was ranked second on the longevity roll, couldn't force him to use a second hand. However, he could not deal with Lu Ming now. You do have some strength, but in front of me, you're still far from it. The first prince said coldly. He finally extended his other hand. Buzz! The first prince dashed toward Lu Ming like a beam of light, unleashing a terrifying attack. Good! Lu Ming let out a long howl, and various laws emanated from his body. Bang! 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 The two of them once again charged at each other, engaging in an intense battle. The battle this time was more intense and terrifying than the battle between Lu Ming and Kong Duo. How is this Lu Ming so powerful? How is this possible? Could it be that he didn't use his full strength in the previous battle with Condor? Many alien races were shocked. Lu Ming's abilities seemed to be limitless. If they were stronger, Lu Ming's abilities would be stronger too. There was no end to it. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and Prince De had exchanged hundreds of moves. Exterminate, kill. The first prince let out a long howl. His third eye burst out with golden light, which was like a divine sword that slashed toward Lu Ming. When the two worked together, the offensive was even stronger. However, the number of laws on Lu Ming's body increased. At this moment, Lu Ming had already released 49 laws. Boom! The two of them exchanged another blow, and both retreated. If that's all you've got, then lose. Lu Ming said coldly. The number of laws on his body increased, and his aura grew stronger. In the end, 81 types of laws covered his body, and Lu Ming's aura rose to its peak. This made all the foreign kind's faces turn extremely ugly. Could it be that the first prince was going to be defeated? No, it can't be. Many alien races shook their heads crazily. You're the first person in hundreds of years to force me to this extent. I'll let you have a taste of my ultimate strength. Supreme. Descend. The first prince let out a long howl. His third eye burst out with an extremely dazzling radiance. The golden radiance was even more dazzling than the sun. Then, a figure appeared in the third eye of the first prince. The figure stepped out of the third eye. It was a burly figure, but he was shrouded in a golden light. His appearance could not be seen clearly, but the aura he gave off was extremely terrifying. Divine Ancestor. The aura of the Holy Ancestor. The Sacred Ancestor has descended. No, it's the power of the Sacred Ancestor. The first prince's bloodline is the closest to the Holy Ancestors. He can already borrow a trace of the Holy Ancestor's power. Many of the alien races started to shout, "Kill!" The first prince bellowed. The figure stepped out and charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes turned serious. He could sense danger and pressure from this figure. But he was not afraid. This was only the first prince's power. It couldn't be the non-human divine ancestor himself. Boom! Lu Ming used all his strength and charged forward, engaging in an intense battle with the figure. Boom! 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 The two of them fought intensely. In the blink of an eye, dozens of moves had passed, and they were evenly matched. Fuse with my body! The first prince once again yelled out, and the figure retreated, turning into a ray of light that fused into the first prince's body, causing the first prince's aura to greatly increase. Kill! The first prince charged toward Lu Ming. The two of them engaged in a fierce battle again. The void crumbled, and the space within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles was in chaos, sweeping up endless spatial storms. The power of the battle between the two was too strong. It could destroy the world. Terrifying, this is too terrifying. Is this still the Great Emperor? A Great Emperor can actually have such battle prowess? Heavens, this is a battle between the heavenly emperors. The two of them fought to the extreme, and the power they unleashed far exceeded that of ordinary peak Great Emperors. Other peak emperors would probably be killed in one move. The power that the two of them displayed had far exceeded the level of Great Emperors. It was a battle of the peak, a true battle of the peak. Bang! 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 Towards the end of the battle, the two of them fought madly, clashing madly and getting hit continuously. The two of them were hit, but they didn't care and continued to fight. Lu Ming had the indestructible ancient scroll. Although he was hit, he could recover quickly. The first prince was also very terrifying. In such a state, his recovery ability was also astonishing. Chapter 2424 Eternal Cage. This battle lasted for more than 1,000 moves. At this stage, what was being competed was not battle prowess but endurance. In the end, Lu Ming had the indestructible ancient scroll and an unparalleled physical body. He slowly gained the upper hand and began to suppress the first prince. At this moment, the two of them were covered in blood because they had been hit too many times. Pfft! Lu Ming landed another punch on the first prince's shoulder. Half of his body almost exploded. At the same time, Lu Ming was also hit. He was also severely injured, but his recovery speed was faster than his opponent. Kill! Lu Ming did not give the other party a chance to recover. He charged forward with his injuries. The more they fought, the more serious the first prince's injuries became. He was less and less of a match for Lu Ming. In the end, he was completely suppressed by Lu Ming. Gotcha! The first prince's chest was hit, and his bones were broken. His body was sent flying far away, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. His aura was extremely weak. Lu Ming was about to suppress the other party in one go. However, at this moment, a shadow flashed, and a figure appeared in front of Lu Ming. The figure wore a crown on his head and exuded an earth-shattering aura. Under this aura, Lu Ming could not move at all. He could not even move a finger. The king of the outsiders. This was a non-human king, and he was terrifyingly powerful. The difference between Lu Ming and him was too great. Enough! The non-human king said coldly with a dark expression. We pay our respects to the king. Many people saluted. The evil god tribe had 10 royal tribes, and the king of each royal tribe had a supreme status and was respected by most of the other races. Today's battle ends here. Everyone step down. The non-human king instructed. Yes, many alien races bowed and flew toward the holy mountain. However, they were all shocked, especially Motianluo, Storm, and the others. They were all dazed. They understood that even if the king of the non-human race appeared, it would not change the fact that the first prince had been defeated. This so-called most powerful prodigy in the history of the evil god tribe had also been defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming had single-handedly defeated the entire longevity role. This was something they had never expected. The first prince stood in the distance, his golden eyes flashing with an extremely cold light. Kill, die. The first prince shouted coldly. He turned into a stream of light and charged toward Lu Ming. He had always been invincible. Now that he had been defeated, he had a strong desire to kill Lu Ming. However, he was blocked by a force on the way. It was the power of the king of the non-human race. You can't kill him. The non-human king spoke. This person is a human. I must kill him or else he'll be in endless trouble. The first prince shouted. Whether to kill or not, we know what to do. Back down. The alien king berated. The first prince's expression changed. Although he was known as the strongest heaven's favorite in the history of the evil god world, and had a very high status, he still did not dare to act presumptuously in front of the king of the alien race. The 10 kings of the evil god tribe were the 10 people with the highest status in the evil god world, excluding the sacred ancestor. You may withdraw. Another voice rang in the first prince's ears. Hearing this voice, the first prince's expression changed again. This was because this voice belonged to his father. The first prince cast a cold glance at Lu Ming with his golden eyes. He turned into a beam of light and flew toward the holy mountain. Only Lu Ming, Jiai, and a few others were left at the scene. Lu Ming did not beat around the bush. He was in the evil god realm and had no choice. He was prepared to deal with the other party however they wanted to. However, don't even think about making him yield. In the depths of the firmament, a few non-human kings were discussing matters. What should we do now? A non-human king asked. All of this was completely out of their expectations and out of their control. Their plan was to let Lu Ming see the power of the evil god realm, to make him despair, and to make him yield. However, they had never expected that Lu Ming's talent and combat strength would be so high. He actually broke through the longevity role. In that case, they would be the ones to suffer a blow. It would be the evil god tribe, and not Lu Ming. No one below the heavenly emperor could defeat Lu Ming. How could they make Lu Ming yield? Their plan had failed. I didn't expect this kid to be so talented. No wonder the sacred ancestor Bloodheart chose him. Once the sacred ancestor Bloodheart revives in him, he'll definitely be able to recover to his peak. Not bad. Unfortunately, the prison guarding steel is in the way. The faces of the kings of the other races were ugly. For a moment, they could not think of a solution at all. They could not take away the prison suppressing steel, and Lu Ming refused to yield. They had no other choice. Could it be that we're going to invite the divine ancestor? A non-human king spoke, but the other non-human kings were silent. No. The holy ancestor has been in secluded meditation ever since the battle to recover from his injuries. Unless it's an urgent matter, we can't disturb him. That's right. I suggest that we wait for a while and spend more time studying it. I don't believe that we can't find a way to get rid of the prison-suppressing steel. The other non-human kings chimed in. Hundreds of years, thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years, in their eyes, was just the snap of a finger. At most, they would spend another tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years to research it. They did not believe that they could not find a way. I suggest that we lock Lu Ming up in the eternal cage. This kid has not even been born for 200 years. If we lock him up in the eternal cage, he might yield after a few thousand or 10,000 years. Not bad. The kings all nodded and reached a consensus. I'll bring him there. A non-human king finished speaking and disappeared in a flash. Lu Ming suddenly felt an extremely powerful force enveloping him. His vision turned black, and he could not see anything. "Let's see what you guys are up to." Lu Ming's expression was calm. He sat cross-legged and waited quietly. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming was swept away by a wave of energy and left the darkness. Light appeared in front of him. "Where is this place?" Lu Ming sized it up. He found himself in a stone room, and the door was closed. "It seems like I've been locked back in the secret chamber again." Lu Ming smiled faintly. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they were. Lu Ming sat cross-legged and began to regulate his breathing. In the previous battle, he had suffered some injuries. Although he had the indestructible ancient scroll, he had not fully recovered. After a period of healing, Lu Ming had returned to his peak state. In the following days, Lu Ming spent his time comprehending the laws and tempering his body. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Kacha. On this day, the door of the stone room opened, and a foreign man in red armor walked in. Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat when he saw the alien. This alien was a powerhouse at the Heavenly Emperor realm. "Follow me," the red-armored being said coldly before turning around and leaving. Lu Ming pondered for a while and followed. Chapter 2425 Prison Suppression, Realm. Lu Ming walked out of the stone room and followed the blood-red armored alien. "There are so many stone rooms." Lu Ming was stunned. Outside the stone room, there was a stone passage. On both sides of the passage, there were stone doors. It was obvious that these were all stone rooms. This place was completely different from the place where Lu Ming had been imprisoned for 100 years. This place was definitely not the capital. At this time, the doors of the stone rooms opened, and figures walked out from inside. "Human." Lu Ming was shocked. The ones who walked out of those stone rooms were actually humans. A person walked out of each stone room. Could these humans have been captured from the heaven realm? Not long after, Lu Ming saw a few more divine beasts, but all of them had taken on human form. In addition, Lu Ming also discovered a unique point. Some people like him were not wearing anything. It was the same as when they were outside. However, some of them were wearing silver chain armors that even covered their arms and legs. What is this place? A place to imprison prisoners from the heaven realm? Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The others also looked at Lu Ming with curious expressions. However, no one said anything because there were many alien races in blood-red armor. All of them were at the Heavenly Emperor realm. Lu Ming saw that there were no less than 10 of them. He followed the passage and soon reached the end. At the end of the passage was a huge cave. There was a hole above the cave, from which a beam of light shot down. Lu Ming guessed that this might be the interior of a mountain. There were passages all around the cave, and people were gathering from each passage. Most of them were humans and divine beasts. Lu Ming even saw alien races wearing silver chain armors, looking like prisoners. Around the cave stood many beings in fiery red armor. Of course, not all of them were heavenly emperors. Most of them were great emperors. However, there were many of them, more than 200 of them. The power of the foreign races gathered in this place was shockingly strong. Is this a cage for the alien race? Lu Ming speculated in his heart. "Little brother, you're new here. I've never seen you before." At this moment, a burly man with messy hair walked over and greeted Lu Ming. "That's right, I've only been here for a few months," Lu Ming said as he sized up the other party. The other party looked to be in his 50s. His hair and beard were in a mess, but one could barely tell that he was very handsome. His eyes flashed with a sense of majesty. He was also wearing a chain armor. "You should be from the heaven realm. And it should be less than 1,000 years since you came from the heaven realm. You still have the smell of the heaven realm on you. A familiar yet strange smell." The burly man sighed and revealed a nostalgic expression. "Big brother also came from the heaven realm?" Lu Ming asked. "That's right. However, that was many, many years ago. I don't even know how many years ago it was. I heard that it should be the ancient era." The burly man sighed. Ancient times. Lu Ming was shocked. Could it be that he was captured by the alien race during the ancient war and imprisoned here? It It was hard to imagine how many years it had been since the ancient era. Are the humans and divine beasts here all seniors of the heaven realm? Lu Ming asked again. No, only a small portion of them came from the heaven realm. The burly man shook his head. A small portion? Lu Ming was shocked. Haha, you can't be thinking that only the heaven realm and the primordial realm have humans, right? In fact, the evil god realm also has humans. The burly man laughed. There are humans in the evil god tribe? This time, Lu Ming was even more shocked. He had never heard that there were humans in the evil god world. Weren't the evil god world all alien races? The 10 royal alien races occupied the entire evil god world. Haha, I'm a human from this side. Qing Song, is this little brother from the heaven realm? At this moment, a burly man with fiery red hair walked over. He looked to be in his 50s, and was also wearing a chain-like armor. The big man with messy hair was called Qing Song. Not bad. Qing Song nodded and introduced. His name is Wu Tai. He's a human from the evil god world. Little brother, what's your name? My name is Lu Ming. Lu Ming introduced himself, and then started chatting with Qing Song and Madame Wu. The two of them were very forthright. Lu Ming learned a lot about this place during the conversation. This place was called the Eternal Cage. It was a place where the alien races locked up felons. It meant that once someone was locked in, it would be difficult to get out for 10,000 years. These people had been detained and given drugs on the spot. That's right, medicine. Every once in a while, the alien races would send people to extract their blood and use it to make pills for the alien races to consume and improve their cultivation. Moreover, Lu Ming learned that there were humans in the evil god realm. There were still some who stayed in a place called the prison realm to resist the alien races. And the power of the prison suppression field was very strong. The prison suppression field? The name is so similar to the prison suppressing steel. Lu Ming's heart stirred, and he thought of many things. Maybe the alien races were distracted by the prison suppression field, so they couldn't attack the heaven realm with all their might. Why is there another outsider locked up here? Lu Ming asked again. Because some alien tribes are also against attacking the heaven realm. You see, those dozen alien tribes over there are all very powerful existences. However, they opposed the attack on the heaven realm in ancient times, so they were also imprisoned here, Qing Song said, pointing to the left. Lu Ming looked over and saw more than 10 alien races. They were all royal members of the alien race, and they were wearing silver chain armors. I see. Lu Ming came to a sudden realization. It seemed that not all the alien races were in favor of attacking the heaven realm. Some were against it. In fact, Lu Ming had been wondering why the alien races had to attack and destroy the heaven. Wouldn't it be better for everyone to live in peace? Big brother Qing Song, you've been imprisoned here since ancient times. Has no one ever escaped from here after so many years? Lu Ming asked again. No, I didn't. Qing Song shook his head and sighed. The entire eternal cage is enveloped by a treasure and has a terrifying restriction. It's said that the treasure belongs to the evil god tribe's saint ancestor. Once it's set up, the restriction can't be broken. Moreover, the restriction has a terrifying killing power. As long as one is within the restriction, once there is any abnormal movement, the restriction will be activated, and even a peak heavenly emperor will be killed. Lu Ming was shocked. A peak heavenly emperor was about to be killed. That was too terrifying. A peak heavenly emperor was the most powerful person in the world. Lu Ming could not imagine how powerful he was. Lu Ming, brother Qing Song is a peak heavenly emperor. Mrs. Wu said. What? Peak heavenly emperor? Lu Ming's heart trembled, and he was dumbfounded. He had never expected Qing Song to be a peak heavenly emperor. Chapter 24-26. The Nine-Headed Golden Lion. One of the top 10 battle beasts, Qing Song, was a peak heavenly emperor. A peak heavenly emperor, no matter in the evil god realm or the heaven realm, was a peak existence. His battle power was beyond imagination. There were not many people like him in the evil god realm or the heaven realm. According to Lu Ming's knowledge, the top 10 war beasts were at the peak of the heavenly emperor realm at their peak. However, the ordinary-looking man in front of him was actually a peak heavenly emperor. Qing Song used to be a well-known figure in the heaven realm. Haven't you heard of him, Brother Lu Ming? Mrs. Wu looked at Lu Ming curiously. No, I didn't. Lu Ming shook his head. Ha ha ha, Mrs. Wu, when was I in heaven realm? So many years have passed, who still remembers my name? Qing Song laughed and didn't take it seriously. The nine-headed golden lion's name has shaken the world. Back then, even the evil god world had heard of it. Mrs. Wu said with a grin. What? The nine-headed golden lion? Lu Ming's eyes widened in shock. Of course, he knew about the nine-headed golden lion. One of the top 10 battle beasts, the nine-headed golden lion. Who didn't know about it? However, it was said that the nine-headed golden lion had already died in the ancient war. Qing Song was actually one of the top 10 war beasts, the nine-headed golden lion. So he didn't die. You've heard of it? Mrs. Wu said. Of course, who hasn't heard of the nine-headed golden lion, one of the top 10 battle beasts? Lu Ming said. Everything is just a false reputation. You've still become a prisoner. Qing Song laughed at himself. Big brother Qing Song, big brother Wu Tai, why are you wearing this chain armor but am not? Lu Ming asked curiously. This kind of armor can seal one's cultivation base. It's covered with formations that can seal one's cultivation base through one's acupuncture points. All those above the celestial Varch realm wear this kind of armor. As for those below the celestial Varch realm, their cultivation base isn't high. Even if they don't wear the armor, the evil god tribe can easily suppress them. Therefore, they don't wear it. Mrs. Wu explained. Lu Ming came to a realization. No wonder some people were wearing armor, while some were not. So this was the reason. This place was surrounded by restrictions with terrifying defensive and killing power. Even a heavenly emperor couldn't get out, let alone those under the heavenly emperor realm. Moreover, there were so many experts of the foreign kinds guarding this place. Those below the heavenly emperor realm couldn't cause any trouble. They're here. Qing Song suddenly said as he looked in one direction. Lu Ming and Wu Tai also looked in the same direction. A bald, middle-aged man walked over with a group of people in fiery red armor. The bald middle-aged man looked no different from a human, but the third eye on his forehead told everyone that he was a foreign race. His body exuded an extremely terrifying aura. It was as if he was the universe, high and mighty. His pressure was like the 10 lands and the 8 wastelands of the universe. How terrifying! Lu Ming sensed it and felt cold sweat all over his body. His heart was beating faster. This man is called Duo Lei, the commander of the Eternal Cage. He is also a peak heavenly emperor. Mrs. Wu said in a low voice. Peak heavenly emperor. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. No wonder he gave off such a terrifying feeling. With a peak heavenly emperor guarding this place, even if he didn't set up a restriction, not many people would be able to escape. Duo Lei practices a strange combat technique that requires him to absorb powerful battle qi. So he will gather everyone together once in a while, and then choose someone to compete with. He will then be able to absorb the battle qi of others during their battles. Mrs. Wu continued to explain. Lu Ming nodded. He finally understood why these people had gathered here. Duo Lei came to the center of the cave and waved his hand. A fighting stage appeared and landed in the middle of the cave. According to the old rules, whoever I point out will go up and fight. Whoever doesn't try their best and is perfunctory, I will draw all his blood after the battle. Duo Lei said coldly. His eyes were like lightning as they scanned the surroundings. The faces of those who were scanned by him all changed and became somewhat grave. Duo Lei was vicious and merciless, and he would definitely do as he said. Many of them had been imprisoned here for countless years, so they were naturally aware of this. Lu Ji, Wang Meng, you guys go up. Duo Lei called out names. Then, Lu Ming saw 2 figures walking up to the fighting ring. Both of them were wearing silver chain armors. It was obvious that they were both at the Heavenly Emperor realm. After the 2 of them stepped onto the fighting ring, Duo Lei waved his hand, and their armors flew away and landed in Duo Lei's hands. Boom! Boom! As soon as the armor flew away, Lu Ji and Wang Meng's bodies exploded with astonishing auras. This is 3-star Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. 2 of them were 3-star Heavenly Emperors. The number of experts imprisoned in this eternal cage was shocking. Lu Ji and Wang Meng looked at each other, and then they suddenly rushed toward each other. Boom! Boom! The two of them began to fight intensely in the fighting ring. The two of them had similar cultivation levels, and they used their full strength without holding back. The battle was extremely intense. It's not a law system. As soon as the two of them started fighting, Lu Ming realized that they were not cultivating the nomological system at all. Instead, they were cultivating the immemorial martial Tao, which was similar to the immemorial system. They're from the prison suppression field. They're cultivating, so it should be different from the heaven realm, right? Mrs. Wu said. Yes, I am. Lu Ming nodded. The nomological system had risen at the end of the primordial era, and the prison suppression field should have always been in the evil god field. It was normal that they cultivated differently. The two of them exchanged several hundred moves, and in the end, Lu Ji won by a slight margin, defeating Wang Meng. Duo Lei was watching from the side, his eyes sparkling with excitement. A layer of light flickered on his body, constantly changing. After Lu Ji and Wang Meng's battle, Duo Lei called another two heavenly emperor powerhouses to battle. The cultivation of each group was similar, so the battle was extremely intense and full of fighting spirit. This was very beneficial to Duo Lei. Just like that, they fought a few groups in a row. There were heavenly emperors and heavenly emperors. Lu Ming realized that none of them cultivated the nomological system. Qing Song told him that not many people in the heaven realm had been captured. Most of the humans here were from the prison suppression field. Recently, we have a newcomer here. He is a peerless heaven's favorite from the heaven realm. Suddenly, Duo Lei spoke and looked at Lu Ming. The others could not help but look at Lu Ming. There was no one as young as Lu Ming here. I heard that you're very strong. Go up and fight, Duo Lei said. Lu Ming's eyes flickered, but he did not say anything. He stepped forward and landed on the fighting ring. You, go up and fight him. Duo Lei pointed at an old man. The old man leaped onto the fighting ring, and a powerful aura emanated from his body. He was a peak great emperor. Little brother, you have to be careful. This old man's cultivation is peak emperor. The old man said kindly. He felt that Lu Ming was really young. He was so young. No matter how strong he was, how strong could he be? Hence, he kindly reminded her. Chapter 2427 Battling the Heaven's Arch. Many thanks, Senior. Senior, please. Lu Ming smiled. Be careful. The old man spoke and suddenly rushed toward Lu Ming. His palm was like a knife as he struck out. Buzz! The old man's palm trembled, and a strange power circulated. It was really like a battle blade. The old man also cultivated the ancient martial arts, and his attack power was astonishing. Since he had made his move, he would not hold back, because Duo Lei would not allow anyone to hold back. Lu Ming took a deep breath and threw a punch. This punch was very ordinary, but when it was thrown out, the space on the fighting stage exploded and the wind howled. The power was extremely shocking. However, there was a light screen around the fighting ring that blocked the reckless chi. The old man's eyes widened. The power of Lu Ming's punch was so shocking that he was shocked. Buzz! The old man's moves changed. With a shake of his arm, he suddenly slashed dozens of times. Dozens of saber beams were shot out, aiming at Lu Ming's fist. However, as Lu Ming's fist passed by, the elder's saber light exploded inch by inch. The terrifying fist force crushed over and collided with the elder's palm. The old man's body trembled as if he had been electrocuted. Then he backed off madly until he was out of the fighting ring and hit the light screen at the edge of the fighting ring. His face turned pale. So strong. At the scene, many people were shocked and could not help but re-examine Lu Ming. Previously, they thought that even if Lu Ming was a genius, he would not be too powerful. It was already very shocking that he had the fighting power of a great emperor. However, Lu Ming's attack shocked them. He had defeated a peak great emperor with one punch. This little brother Lu Ming is not bad. He looks really young. He has cultivated for less than 1,000 years at most, but he has such combat strength. It's really amazing. Mrs. Wu sighed. Qing Gang's eyes were also filled with surprise. He's probably a body cultivator. He's already reached the peak of the Tao Emperor realm, and is a rare prodigy. What a pity that he's been locked up in the eternal cage. Qing Song sighed. Mrs. Wu was the same. With such strength at such a young age, if he had enough time, he would definitely become a terrifying master. Unfortunately, he had been captured by the alien race and brought here, which was equivalent to losing hope. Little brother's battle strength is amazing. This old man is no match for you. I'm impressed. On the fighting ring, the old man cupped his fists and said, his eyes full of admiration. Senior is too polite. Lu Ming said politely. Duolei, I'm really no match for you. You can go down now. The old man looked at Duolei. Trash, get lost. Duolei waved his hand, and the old man walked down the fighting ring. You are indeed powerful. Ao Jing, you go. Duolei said to a middle-aged man in silver chain armor. Me. The man was stunned. He was at the Heavenly Emperor realm, and Duolei was asking him to fight with the Great Emperor? Duolei, you're going too far. Lu Ming is only a Great Emperor. It's meaningless for you to ask him to fight Ao Jing. Qing Song cried out. When has it ever been your turn to interrupt me? Qing Song, remember who you are now. You're just a prisoner, so don't think of yourself as one of the top 10 war beasts. Duolei coldly glanced at Qing Song, then turned to Ao Jing and said, Let's go up and fight, and we'll use our full strength. Ao Jing had no choice but to step onto the fighting stage. Duolei waved his hand, and Ao Jing's armor flew away. Roar! A dragon's roar was heard, and Ao Jing emitted a powerful aura. Ao Jing was a true dragon, and he was a one-star heavenly emperor. Little brother, be careful. Ao Jing reminded. Senior, just use your full strength. Lu Ming said, a strong fighting spirit in his eyes. This was the first time he was going to fight a heavenly emperor. A heavenly emperor was much stronger than a great emperor. No great emperor had ever been able to fight a heavenly emperor. Even the first prince of the non-human race, who was known as the strongest heaven's favorite of the non-human race, wouldn't be a match for the weakest one-star heavenly emperor. Lu Ming was looking forward to how far he could go against a one-star heavenly emperor if he were to go all out. Moreover, although he had mastered 81 types of nomological laws, his use of them was not perfect. At the very least, he was unable to interweave all the laws together to form a sacred art. It couldn't be as smooth as one. All of this was very difficult to comprehend on one's own, but in an intense battle, one would often reap great benefits. Therefore, Lu Ming was looking forward to it, and his fighting spirit was very strong. Buzz! Whoosh! Lu Ming's body glowed. It was the light of the law. That is the laws. Below the fighting ring, Qing Song was shocked. He did not expect that Lu Ming had actually cultivated laws. Wait, so many? No, several ultimate maxims. What's going on? My God, it's still increasing. Qing Gang's eyes immediately widened. This was because the laws on Lu Ming's body were constantly flashing. A dozen, 20, 50, and the number of ultimate maxims kept increasing. Qing Gang's eyes grew wider and wider, and in the end, he became completely dumbfounded. Qing Song did not cultivate the system of laws, but the primordial demonic Tao. However, in the ancient era, the system of laws dominated the heaven realm and was extremely prosperous. He naturally understood it very well. At that moment, he was dumbfounded when he saw the law on Lu Ming. He was not the only one. Everyone around the battle stage, who had some understanding of the nomological system, was also dumbfounded. In an instant, Lu Ming's 81 types of laws emerged and formed a battle suit that covered his entire body. Lu Ming unleashed his abilities to the maximum. Senior, please. Lu Ming extended his hand and reminded Ao Jing. Little brother, you're amazing. Ao Jing's eyes were filled with shock, and his aura was raised to the maximum. Boom, boom. The two of them moved at the same time, pouncing towards each other and launching a terrifying attack. With a violent boom, the two of them clashed head-on, and then both of them retreated. The difference was that Ao Jing only took 3 steps back, while Lu Ming took 15 steps back. What shocking strength! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. What Ao Jing cultivated was not the system of laws, but the primordial demonic Tao. The primordial demonic Tao cultivated the body and demonic power. The combination of the demonic body and demonic power was extremely powerful. In the previous exchange of blows, Ao Jing's strength was completely above Lu Ming's. He didn't know that the others were even more shocked. He blocked it. A great emperor is actually fighting against the celestial emperor. Unbelievable. Ao Jing didn't show any mercy. It is indeed incredible. He is a peerless monster. Unfortunately, he's been locked up in the eternal cage. Many people sighed and felt sorry for Lu Ming. Again, Lu Ming shouted. At this moment, his fighting spirit was getting stronger. Boom. Then, he rushed toward Ao Jing and increased his power to the maximum. Ao Jing was not to be outdone. He charged at Lu Ming. Bang! Bang! The two of them engaged in an intense battle, and the battle turned white hot. Chapter 24-28. Law System. Breaking through to Great Emperor in an instant. Lu Ming and Ao Jing had exchanged dozens of moves. Satisfying. The more Lu Ming fought, the more excited he became. His fighting spirit soared. He was at a disadvantage, suppressed by Ao Jing, but it would not be easy for Ao Jing to defeat him. Lu Ming could unleash all his power when he fought with the celestial arch. Moreover, the other party could constantly exert great pressure on him, allowing him to master the laws more proficiently and have a deeper understanding. Boom! Boom! In the great battle, Lu Ming evolved all kinds of laws to the extreme and blasted out all kinds of divine powers. Good. Below the fighting stage, Duo Lei said good 3 times. He was cultivating a combat technique that required the absorption of battle qi. He realized that Lu Ming's fighting spirit was extremely strong when he was fighting with others. It allowed him to absorb more battle qi. He was already planning to let Lu Ming play more in the future. What shocking battle strength! The others were also shocked by Lu Ming's ability. Lu Ming's abilities were already close to the Heavenly Emperor realm. A great emperor would not be able to withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. This battle lasted for hundreds of moves. After such a long battle, Lu Ming was finally defeated. He was sent flying by Ao Jing and hit the light curtain spitting blood. He had lost, but his eyes were filled with excitement. The battle just now had deepened his understanding of the various laws. Senior is formidable, junior is no match. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, "You're the one who's powerful. If I didn't have a high cultivation level, how could I be your opponent?" Ao Jing exclaimed. Indeed, if he were to fight Lu Ming at the same level, he would not be able to withstand even one move from Lu Ming. Then, the two of them left the fighting ring. Duo Lei then called the others to fight. One day later, Duo Lei seemed to be satisfied. He dismissed everyone and let them return to their secret chambers. Don't draw Lu Ming's blood. It's useful to me. After the crowd dispersed, Duo Lei ordered his subordinates. After drawing blood, the person would definitely be weak and would not be able to fight for a period of time. He wanted to keep Lu Ming alive to fight with others, so that he could absorb battle qi. The others had been locked up here for too long, and were already numb to it. Even if they went all out in battle, they could not activate too much battle qi. However, when Lu Ming was fighting, his fighting spirit was high and the battle qi he triggered was extremely strong, which made him happy. Yes, the other alien races obeyed. After Lu Ming returned to the stone room, he continued to cultivate. He recalled the battle in detail, and gradually deepened his use of the law. In the blink of an eye, a few months had passed. A few months later, Duo Lei gathered them again and asked them to fight. This time, Duo Lei called Lu Ming to fight another one-star Heavenly Emperor. In this battle, Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage. However, after exchanging a few hundred moves, Lu Ming was finally defeated. Just like that, Lu Ming had to fight once every few months. He had gained a lot. He was getting more and more comfortable with the use of various laws. The divine arts he comprehended were also increasing. Moreover, no one came to extract Lu Ming's blood. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been in the eternal cage for 10 years. After 10 years, Lu Ming was very familiar with the people here. He had become familiar with many people. In the past 10 years, Lu Ming had been focused on comprehending various laws, and had made amazing progress. He could finally interweave the 81 laws together to form a divine power. The 81 types of laws were intertwined and transformed into a long spear. Its power was shocking. This increased Lu Ming's combat strength by a little. He could really fight to a draw with a one-star celestial arch. He had created a miracle that no one had been able to create since ancient times. I finally perfected the 81 laws into one. I can finally break through to the great emperor realm now. Lu Ming pondered, his eyes filled with anticipation. Lu Ming had experienced too many things along the way. Even in the face of adversity, he would not be discouraged. He believed that as long as he grew stronger and stronger, he would eventually find a way out. Now he was planning to break through to the great emperor realm. The 81 laws contained all the strongest laws, and most of the king path laws. Once he successfully broke through to the great emperor realm, he didn't know how powerful he would be. Lu Ming was very much looking forward to it. I should enter the mountain and river diagram. Otherwise, the commotion caused by the breakthrough will be too big. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He then entered the mountain and river diagram. Fortunately, his cultivation base was low, so the alien race didn't care about him. They didn't chain him or make him wear armor. Otherwise, it would be troublesome for him to cultivate. After entering the river portrait, Lu Ming took out a large number of stones of chaos and supreme-grade raw gemstones and placed them around him. He then sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. 3 days later, Lu Ming's state of mind was adjusted to the maximum. Begin, Lu Ming muttered. At this moment, the world core in his small world emitted a dazzling radiance. The world core, which had fused with 81 types of nomological laws, was now undergoing a shocking transformation. The 81 nomological laws had completely converged, intertwined, and fused together. A quantitative change would lead to a qualitative change. The 81 nomological laws would slowly transform, and finally transform into a higher level, which was the Great Tao. This was the process of ordinary people's cultivation. This process could not be completed overnight. It required time. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. At this moment, the 81 nomological laws in the world core could no longer be seen. There was only chaos and a gray blur, like the light of chaos, but there were differences. Boom! At this moment, a violent explosion came from Lu Ming's body. A mysterious aura emanated from Lu Ming's body. At this moment, the color of Lu Ming's world core turned from gray to purple gold. In an instant, it completely turned purple gold. It was filled with a noble aura, high and mighty, dominating the world. Lu Ming's body also emitted a purple gold light, making him look sacred and inviolable, like a god who ruled the world. He had broken through. Lu Ming knew that he had made a breakthrough. He was now in the great emperor realm. Devour. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. His body was a black hole, crazily devouring the energy around him. Bang! Bang! Piles and piles of supreme-grade raw gemstones exploded and turned into an extremely rich tide of essential qi. It surged into Lu Ming's body and into his small world. At the same time, pieces of chaos gems exploded and wisps of chaos qi were absorbed and refined by Lu Ming, entering his small world. Lu Ming's small world expanded rapidly. Originally, when Lu Ming was at the peak true emperor stage, the area of his small world was 700,000 miles. At this moment it was expanding rapidly. As the energy refined by Lu Ming entered, it expanded wildly. 75,000 miles, 800,000 miles, 900,000 miles. Very soon, Lu Ming's small world had expanded to a radius of 1 million miles. However, it did not stop. Lu Ming's small world was still expanding. Chapter 2429 Path of a Ruler. The average person would stop expanding when their small world reached 1 million miles after reaching the great emperor realm. However, Lu Ming did not stop at all. He continued to expand at an increasing speed. 1 million 1, 2 million 1, 5 million, 2 million miles. It's actually still expanding. In that case, continue to refine it. Refine it for me. Lu Ming kept taking out supreme-grade raw gemstones and stones of chaos. A large number of supreme-grade raw gemstones were refined. Fortunately, Lu Ming had abundant resources. Over the years, he had killed many opponents and accumulated a large number of resources. Furthermore, he had obtained too many resources on the Void God Island. There were over 20,000 Chaos Gems and Primordial Chaos Gems each. There were countless supreme-grade raw stones. Lu Ming did not even count them. If it were an ordinary person, they would not be able to afford to consume them. Lu Ming did not care about the resources at all. No matter how many resources he had, the most practical thing was to turn them into abilities. As a large number of resources were refined and transformed, Lu Ming's small world continued to expand wildly. 3 million miles for million miles. In the end, Lu Ming's small world expanded to 10 million kilometers before it stopped. The others had just broken through to the Great Emperor realm, and their small world was only 1 million miles wide. However, Lu Ming's small world had a radius of 10 million miles, which was 10 times the size of others. This was the distance between the length and width. As for the surface area, it was unknown how many times it was, at least 100 times. This was already comparable to a small world of the Heavenly Emperor realm. Of course, the amount of resources consumed was also shocking. Lu Ming had used up 3,000 Chaos Gems. As for the supreme-grade raw stones, there were an even more shocking number of them. Lu Ming did not even count them. However, it was all worth it. Lu Ming could feel that the world energy in his body was extremely rich. It was not like the world energy that an ordinary great emperor could possess. I'm still a one-star great emperor, but my world energy is many times more powerful than the world energy of other one-star great emperors. Lu Ming muttered. Fliss' current world energy was really too strong. There's a different type of energy in the world force. All of a sudden, Lu Ming sensed that his world energy was mixed with a trace of purple gold energy. Moreover, Lu Ming felt that this energy was extremely shocking and much stronger than world energy. Could it be my great Tao? Lu Ming thought of the great Tao that he controlled. With a thought, his body emitted a purple light. There was a kind of power that he controlled. The power was extremely mysterious, but it exuded a terrifying power, as if it ruled over everything. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to have become one with the entire world. It was as if the energy of the entire world could be used by him. He dominated everything. Lu Ming seemed to be able to dominate everything. With a single thought, a mountain in the mountain and river diagram in the distance turned into ashes and dissipated. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. This power was too terrifying. If I had only thought about it. This is my great Tao. No, great Tao definitely doesn't have such powerful might. I seem to have become one with time. However, it's different from the heavenly Tao. Lu Ming's thoughts were filled with doubts. He realized that the great Tao he controlled was completely different from the other great Taos. He was certain that the other great Taos would not be able to withstand a single blow from him. However, it was also different from the heavenly Tao. Even his power of the world was mixed with this power. It was different from the great Tao, and also different from the heavenly Tao. It seemed to be a brand new Tao. It should be related to my cultivation. One cultivate 81 types of nomological laws, which is why this wonderful Tao was born. Lu Ming analyzed. The fundamental structure of the world was the laws. There were thousands of laws, but the core was the 10 strongest laws and many king path laws. Although there were many other ordinary laws, their effects were far less than the 10 ultimate laws and the king path laws. As for Lu Ming, he had mastered all the ultimate maxims and most of the king path maxims. After breaking through to the great emperor realm, he had mastered a mysterious Tao. I wonder how powerful this Tao of mine is. Lu Ming pondered, then closed his eyes and started to experiment. When he activated this wonderful technique, he seemed to have become one with the heaven and earth. Fliss' consciousness drifted out and extended out of the stone room. Lu Ming saw everything in the other stone rooms. He continued to extend his consciousness outwards. Not long after, Lu Ming saw a layer of light screen. This light screen covered the entire area. At the very top of the light screen, there was a round pearl that was emitting a bright light. The light screen was formed by this bead. Could it be that this is the restriction of the eternal cage? A restriction formed by the evil god race's sacred ancestors' treasure? Lu Ming's heart stirred. If we can open this restriction, we can go out. Lu Ming's eyes lit up, but then he smiled helplessly. Qing Song and the others had said that not even a peak heavenly emperor could penetrate this light curtain. Moreover, it had a terrifying offensive power that could even kill a peak heavenly emperor. Then, how could he open it? However, Lu Ming really wanted to give it a try. He had a feeling that he could dominate everything. If I could even open the light screen here. This was the feeling he got from that wonderful Tao. I'll try. In the end, Lu Ming made up his mind and decided to give it a try. A wisp of purple gold light flew towards the light screen. It was the wondrous Tao. Buzz! Waves spread out from the light screen, and finally, a crack appeared. It's a success. It's actually a success. Lu Ming was ecstatic. The light screen seemed to be under his control. It was an extremely mysterious feeling. Then, Lu Ming quickly put away the wonderful way, and the light screen returned to normal. Duo Lei was in control of the treasure, and Lu Ming was afraid that he would alert him. At this moment Duo Lei, who was cultivating in a secret room, suddenly opened his eyes. Could it be that someone is attacking the restriction? You really don't know what's good for you. Duo Lei mumbled as he observed through the bead. He controlled the bead, and could observe everything that was happening on the light screen at any time. However, Duo Lei didn't find anything. Fi didn't find anyone attacking the light curtain. Could it be an illusion? Duo Lei frowned. Fi then carefully observed for a while, but did not find anything, so he ignored it. At this moment Lu Ming was overjoyed. It really worked. He could really open the restriction. This meant that he could leave at any time. This wondrous Tao is too wondrous, too profound. Lu Ming waved his hand, and his palm emitted a purple gold radiance. It was the physical manifestation of the wonderful Tao. I've never heard of this Tao before, but it seems to be able to dominate the world. Let's call it the Tao of domination. Lu Ming came up with a name. The Tao of a ruler. I don't know how strong my current combat strength is. Lu Ming pondered. Before his breakthrough, Lu Ming could fight a weaker one-star celestial emperor to a draw if he used all his strength. Now that he had made a breakthrough, his world power had increased tremendously, and he had mastered the ruler's Tao. Fliss' combat strength had definitely soared. Chapter 2430, Preparing to Escape. Lu Ming had a feeling that he could kill a one-star celestial emperor with just the world energy and the dominator's Tao without using his physical body. One had to know that he was only a one-star great emperor. If he could kill a one-star heavenly emperor, it would be equivalent to crossing an entire major realm to kill the enemy. For it to happen to a great emperor or heavenly emperor, it was an unbelievable thing. The higher one's cultivation level was, the harder it was to fight those of higher cultivation levels. To be able to cultivate to the heavenly emperor realm, which one of them wasn't a peerless genius. Only by mastering an ultimate maxim could one cultivate to the heavenly emperor realm. Therefore, towards the end, it was extremely difficult to cross a minor realm to fight an enemy, not to mention crossing a major realm to kill an enemy. Moreover, this was only Lu Ming's estimation. In addition to his physical strength, Lu Ming's combat strength would be even stronger. From now on, Lu Ming had entered the ranks of the powerhouses in the Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm. Now is not the time to leave. With my strength, even if I leave, I will be discovered and caught up to. Moreover, even if I leave, in the vast Evil God world, where should I go? Lu Ming started to think again. In the end, he decided to discuss it with Qing Song and the others. He might even escape with them. Lu Ming stopped and stood up. He walked to the door and gave it a hard push. The door was pushed open. The eternal cage was not strictly managed. It was mainly because of the divine ancestors' treasure, which covered the entire area. No one could break the restriction. Therefore Duo Lei and the other alien races were at ease. Usually, Lu Ming and the others could enter and leave the stone rooms freely. To Duo Lei and the rest, Lu Ming and the rest could only move around within the area of the restriction at most. They could not run away. Moreover, those above the celestial arch level had chains and armors that could seal their cultivation base, providing them with an additional layer of insurance. Lu Ming walked out of the stone room and followed the passageway. Soon, he arrived at the entrance of another secret room. He knocked on the door and a voice came from inside. "Come in." Lu Ming pushed the stone door open and walked in. Qing Song was inside. Qing Song was lying on a blue stone and drinking wine leisurely. "Haha, brother Lu Ming, you came at the right time. Drink with me." Qing Song smiled, took out a pot of wine, and threw it to Lu Ming. This wine was given to Qing Song by Lu Ming. There was no wine to drink in the eternal cage. Lu Ming took it and took a sip. "Brother Lu Ming, did you have a breakthrough in your cultivation?" Suddenly, Qing Song's eyes lit up. Although his cultivation was sealed by the chained armor, his eyes were still sharp. He could tell at a glance that Lu Ming had made a breakthrough. "I just broke through," Lu Ming said. "Let me see. What is the great Tao you have comprehended?" Qing Song quickly asked, very curious. Lu Ming had mastered 81 types of laws. He was also very curious about what kind of great Tao he would master when he broke through to the great emperor realm. Lu Ming nodded. He was about to ask Qing Song. Qing Song had lived for a long time, so he might know what the great Tao he had comprehended was. With a single thought, a domineering aura emanated from Lu Ming's body. At the same time, a purple gold light emanated from his body. Qing Song's expression turned grave when he sensed Lu Ming's aura. "Big brother Qing Song, do you know what Tao this is?" Lu Ming asked. "It's so strange. I've never seen or heard of such a Tao." Qing Song shook his head. Qing Song looked at it carefully and revealed a surprised expression. "What a terrifying Tao. There's a domineering will in it. In front of this Tao, I'm afraid that ordinary great Taos won't be able to withstand a single blow. Only the heavenly Tao can contend with it. Moreover, your cultivation is still weak now. In the future, as your cultivation improves, it will become even more amazing and powerful." "Sigh, what a pity." Qing Song let out a long sigh. "Big brother Qing Song, what's a pity?" Lu Ming said. "It's a pity that you're locked up here. Otherwise, with your talent, you might be able to create a miracle in the future and break through the last barrier to enter the supreme realm. If that's the case, the heaven realm might be able to defeat the evil god tribe." "What a pity." Qing Song sighed. "Big brother Qing Song, we might be able to get out," Lu Ming said in a low voice. "What, brother Lu Ming? What do you mean by that?" Qing Song glared at him. "Big brother Qing Song, I won't hide it from you. I've named my great Tao the Tao of Sovereign. I've opened the restriction of the eternal cage through the Tao of Sovereign." Lu Ming explained the situation. "What?" Qing Song's eyes glowed with a bright light. Even though he was sealed by the chain armor, a terrifying aura still emanated from him. "Brother Lu Ming, you said. Is it true?" Qing Song's voice trembled. He had been locked up here for too long and had no hope of leaving. Now that he heard that he could leave, he was naturally excited. "Yes, it's absolutely true. However, I'm afraid that Duo Lei will soon find out after opening it. So I came to discuss it with big brother Qing Song." Lu Ming said. "It doesn't matter. As long as I can get out of this restriction, I can break free from this sealing armor. At that time, even if Duo Lei finds out, I'm not afraid of him," Qing Song said with great confidence. Qing Song was different from the Titan Longhorn and the 9 Lives devilish silkworm. Although he had been captured during the ancient battle, his injuries hadn't been that serious, and he had long since recovered. As long as he could break free from the seal, he would immediately recover his peak heavenly emperor cultivation base and wouldn't be afraid of Duo Lei. "Then where are we going after we leave?" Lu Ming asked. "I'm going to the prison suppression field, so I'm going with Wu Tai and the others. This time, I'll take this opportunity to bring more people out," Qing Song said. Lu Ming nodded. He had the same intention. There were too many experts in the eternal cage. The number of heavenly emperor realm powerhouses was also shocking. If they could bring them out, they would definitely be able to cause great trouble for the evil god tribe. That way the pressure on the heaven realm would also be reduced. He couldn't give up on this combat power. Immediately, Lu Ming and Qing Song discussed the details. Then, they looked for Wu Tai and told him about the matter. When Mrs. Wu heard this, she was shocked at first, but then she was overjoyed. The three of them discussed who they should bring out. This matter had to be carried out strictly. He had to bring along people he could trust. If this matter was exposed to the alien race, they would probably seal Lu Ming, or even kill him. Everything would be over then. After some discussion, Wu Tai and Qing Song started to take action. They revealed this matter to some people they could trust, and discussed when to take action. In the end, there were more than 30 people who knew about this. Of course, if they wanted to escape, it would not be just these 30 people. Each of them could find an excuse and invite some people to go with them. As long as they did not tell them the specific details beforehand, they could escape together when Lu Ming opened the restriction. In the end, they decided to wait for Duo Lei to gather them before taking action. Because when he finished absorbing battle qi, he would definitely need to cultivate. By then, he would be at his lowest alert. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.